welcome back. We are in the kitchen again today, and today we are making homemade manicotti. The homemade manicotti is made with our crepe shell, which is a homemade pasta made into a crepe. You can get the full recipe on that on my previous video of homemade lasagna using crepes, but I will recap the recipe for you anyway. And today we're going to make two kinds of fillings for the manicotti. Manicotti, cannelloni, it's still a debate on what these guys are actually called. I grew up calling them manicotti. Some people call them cannelloni. Someone had told me, now I don't know if this is true, that it's all in the dough, the shell of the pasta, whether you call it a cannelloni or manicotti. So with the homemade egg pasta, they say that is the true manicotti. I also think it's a northern southern thing, but maybe I'm wrong. Cannelloni is the dough you buy, or sorry, the pasta you buy in the store that's already shaped in a tube, and you stuff it. And that would be more of a Durham semolina kind of pasta, which lends me to think that this is a northern recipe and the cannelloni is a southern recipe. However, my mom, we are from the south, from Calabria, and we call them manicotti. And I don't know if it's because she had a lot of friends from the north or whatever. Anyway, this is our recipe. So we're making two different kinds. We're going to make a meat and cheese, and then we're going to make a cheese and spinach for those that don't want meat. And the two kinds are really, when I serve this as a dish, I like to do one and one of each on a plate. So here we have some ricotta, fresh ricotta. We have some browned ground pork. I like to use pork in this recipe. A lot of people think pork is fattier than beef. Not the case. I browned this, guys, and hardly any oil came out of the meat. So here we have some ground pork browned with some garlic, salt, pepper, and a little bit of my Italian seasoning. So that's already been pre-done. We have some shredded mozzarella, some Parmesan cheese, my Italian seasoning, salt and pepper, and my spinach, which I like to saute with some garlic as well, salt, pepper, and garlic. I find that gives it a little more taste than just steaming it down. And that's been chopped, and this is a container of baby spinach. And here we have our shells. Our shells are flour, semolina flour, eggs, water, a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil. That is it. Okay, they're made on the stove, on the frying pan, very much like a crepe. And that's it, guys. So let's get started on our filling. So first we're going to do the meat filling, because I have this here handy. Okay, I'm just going to sprinkle in some Parmesan to taste. I didn't really measure it out. I think you guys can get the gist of it. So good sprinkle of Parmesan. A good handful of mozzarella. Some people ask why I put cheese and meat together, and the reason why I do is because the meat is ground. It's not minced. It's not... pureed like in a ravioli with breadcrumbs, and so it doesn't stick. It's just ground meat, and if you put that in a shell, it's all going to come out. So the ricotta and the cheese, and it just gives it something to bind with, and so flavorful, guys. Very, very, very flavorful. So we're just going to put a good, I'm going to say that's almost a cup of ricotta. And you get in there and you mix it all in. Okay. We can add a little bit more Italian seasoning too. And that is it. That is our meat mixture. Now there's a good amount of garlic in the meat, so I'm not going to add any more garlic at this point. Because the ingredients are all cooked, you can taste for salt. I like to keep the salt add it at the end because the Parmesan, depending on what kind you pick up at the store, it can be salty. So we're going to taste this for flavor, salt and pepper. So you see how that becomes more like a mixture that's going to stick in your shell? That's what we want, and that's why we have the addition of the cheese. I don't think you'll find a recipe online like this, guys. This is my mom's creation. And it's how I've been making my manicotti forever and ever and ever. And it is quite unique to us, but there isn't anyone who eats my manicotti and doesn't like them. So I encourage you to try this recipe. It is yummy, yummy, yummy. So let's just give that a taste. Perfect, does not need anything else whatsoever. It's perfect for salt. It's perfect for pepper. It's got enough garlic. The cheese is yummy. And that is it. That's how easy that is. So that is our meat filling. Now we're going to do the ricotta filling. So I'm going to do the equivalent of a small tub of ricotta. So that would be about half of this. Notice I have more meat filling. My kids, my family, we really enjoy the meat. Okay. So now to this, we're going to add some pepper. A little bit of salt. And my Italian seasoning. And 1 egg. 1 egg as a binder. Sprinkle of Parmesan in here as well. Good 1/4 cup, I would say. Handful of mozzarella. Handful or 2 of mozzarella. And our spinach. Easy, right? Super, super easy. So our egg just binds everything together, as does our cheese when it all melts. That is it. So we mix that up, guys. Now you won't get me tasting this because it has raw egg. I just won't do that. So we're going to trust that our seasoning is just perfect. My mom was clever enough to go by smell. She said you could smell it. That was right. Smells good to me. And that is our ricotta and spinach filling. We're gonna mix that really good. These guys whip up so fast, you will never buy a cannelloni shell in the store again. So good. I like to make these at the holidays, in particular, instead of lasagna. Okay, so now we're gonna get rolling. Here I have my manicotti shells. Okay. What should we do first? Let's do the cheese. Why not? So we're just going to get a spoonful. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And we're going to lay it in the center. does not have to be in a perfect tube because we're just gonna roll. Voila. Sometimes what I do, if the ends are too big and there's just too much pasta there, I'll just cut it. Give these to the dog. They love them. And that is it. That is our cheese and spinach manicotti shell. Okay, let's do a meat. And you can see how it rolls. I like to get the pretty side on the outside. Well, they're both the same. And let's take some meat. So I had said in the center, you don't want to put it in the center, my bad. You want to put it close to the edge, off center. Okay, flip. Roll. These shells, I made them pretty big. You can leave them like that. It's no problem to have extra pasta, but I like presentation, and I just think that if you trim off the edges with a better knife than this, I might add, I just think they're prettier and they're perfect. Okay, so then we're going to do a tray of meat and a tray of cheese, and we're going to make sure that we have some liquefied sauce on the bottom, and then we're going to cover them with sauce as we would a lasagna, and cover them nicely. You want the sauce to be ladled over top and covered, but you want your sauce to be thinned out because it will thicken up in the oven, and you don't want dry pasta. So water down your sauce, guys. Make it a little more liquidy. Not juice by any means, not like a juice watered down, but just a more waterier sauce than you would serve over pasta. And you're going to ladle that over top and make sure that these guys are covered. And then you can sprinkle with Parmesan cheese if you like. Some people might even like to put mozzarella over top. Your choice. I don't do that. I just do a generous sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. And then you bake them at 375 for honestly like 35 minutes, 40 minutes tops. These things, they bubble up beautifully, and they just cook so fast. There's really nothing to them at all. You do want to have your pan covered with foil, just like your lasagna, parchment foil, just like I had said in my lasagna video. Parchment foil, bake, and then exactly like the crepe lasagna, you want them to rest. You want them to rest a good 10-15 minutes on your stovetop before serving. You want them to firm up. It's a very soft, delicate dough, but it's a melt in your mouth. You will not go back to store-bought noodles, I guarantee you. I'm going to recap the crepe recipe for you again. Now, the recipe only makes about 12 to 14, so you might want to double that, and here I have doubled that. So I've used 3 cups of flour, 2 semolina cups of flour, and 1 cup of white flour. And then however many cups of flour you're going to use, you double the eggs. So I have 6 eggs, a little bit of olive oil, a little sprinkle of salt, and then water. I didn't measure. You can refer back to my video for the exact measurements, but you want it liquidy. You want it like a crepe dough mixture, okay? And so that is the recipe for those. I think I think I have about a good 24, 28 shells here. I don't know if I'm going to use all of them. I'm thinking I will definitely get a good 12 and 12, 24. And yeah, that's it. So double the recipe for the crepes. For the manicotti, if you're going to do both. If you're only going to do the one mixture, the recipe is fine with the 4 eggs, 2 cups of flour. That's all good. Okay, so